Guys, and all welcome back to the first Fearless in Devotion podcast of 2026. Happy New Year to you, one and all. Happy New Year, Liam. Happy New Year, Andrew. Happy New Year to everybody at the Fat Ball who sponsor this wonderful podcast.
Happy New Year to all our newsletter subscribers with
And
a
then-
63% off offer for the next couple of days. You've just had an extra send today. I've sent you a great New Year's quiz. So, you do get extra stuff. Please go and subscribe. I'm not quite sure how much 63% off is, but I reckon it turns out about £14.80 for the first year.
If anyone should know.
Yeah, it would be the person who runs the Substack, which isn't me. But all right. But anyway, please, Happy New Year, and please subscribe. There will be a link in the description below.
extras real about it. So yeah, go and do that. Go and subscribe and all that jazz. Anyway, we are recording this hot off the press after our win at Blackburn Rovers. Blackburn Rovers 0, Wrexham 2. Let's dive straight in. We'll dive straight in with the selection. There was 5 changes, Andy, and you described it as, what did you say the words were? That is fucking dog. You didn't even put shit on the end of it.
Hang on. My exact words were, happy to be proved wrong, but that team looks a fucking dog. Right, okay.
What sort of dog?
Well, a big, energetic dog by the looks of it. I can remember, I think it was during the Graham Barrow era, and Wrexham were playing Salford, and I tweeted, this team looks fucking shit, and we absolutely battered them 4-0. I was so close.
Boxing Day. Was it the Boxing Day?
Yeah. I was so close to tweeting something similar, and I'm sort of glad I didn't. But every now and again, you look at a team sheet, and Wrexham FC, they prove you wrong. And they proved us wrong today, because we were absolutely brilliant. And he got those tactics absolutely spot on. So hats off to Phil Parkinson. Hats off to Sam Smith, who's come in and played a blinder. Hats off to Ollie Rathbone, who was by far the man of the match and scored probably.
Take us through the 5 changes.
Yeah.
Rather than individually. Take us through the 5 changes. You mentioned obviously Smith's come in there.
The big one for many is Matt.
No Josh Windass.
Yeah. He's changed the front through. He's changed the front 3. Max has not been dropped. I'd say he's been rested.
He has been rested, 100%. He's played every minute of every game. And I love the fact that Max Cleworth is essentially one of the most vital components of this team, where they said, right, you've played every game. We've identified this game as one that maybe you can sit out. And then you get Dan Scarr comes back in seamlessly and gets a clean sheet.
Yeah. So the changes are Max is out, and in comes Dan Scarr. So George Dobson comes back into midfield for Ben Sheaf. Sheaf, considering the injury record that lad had, has played a lot of games for us. Mm-hmm. And he played in 90 minutes a couple of weeks ago, which Coventry people would fall off their seat. They heard that Ben Sheaf has played 90 minutes. And then the front 3 were completely changed. And I was looking at it thinking, is it a front 3? And it wasn't in the traditional style, but what you had is you had 3 very, very willing runners pulling Blackburn everywhere. So Sam Smith's going one way, Ollie Rathbone and O'Brien. And the key thing was they were able to really lead the press from the front, and they were able to nick balls off Blackburn and really put some doubt into their mind. And I think that was the catalyst for the success. And I know last podcast I sort of said, can Sam Smith?
You slagged him.
I didn't.
Slated him.
I said it's a different style when Sam Smith plays. And Tim, you quite right pulled me up on it and said, well, how can we judge Sam Smith until he has games? Well, he started today. He took his goal brilliantly, and he was a constant pain in their arse, because he never stopped running. He used his physicality. I said he falls over too much, but what he does do is he pulls people everywhere, and he creates space behind him for the likes of O'Brien and Rathbone to come in, and they hunted in packs, and they were brilliant today. I don't know how bad it was. Maybe just Blackburn are crap, but we beat what's in front of them, and it should have been more than 2-0.
Would you say they were dogs of war? I would say they were dogs of war.
And I would also say
energetic dogs of war.
they were dogs of war as well because because James put in a shift. Dobson was everywhere. Rathbone was everywhere. And O'Brien's his energetic self. Little word, I'm talking too much, but I've just had a coffee. But little word for Matty James, who many of us thought were writing him off at the end of last season, thought if anyone was going to drop out the midfield, it's going to be him. Can I just say that sometimes players, even when they go up a level, seem better. And maybe that's for Matty James. If you put him in the hustle and bustle of League One or League Two, he wouldn't be as effective. But he knows the Championship, he knows what to do, and he's got a great ball on him and fair play.
That pass, brilliant. Right?
He's done it a few times.
And that is the difference. That's why I tend to disagree with this whole thing of when Kiefer is out, Sam Smith is not the answer. He's a different type of player. Like if Kiefer Moore is there running onto that ball to Matty James today, he doesn't go towards goal. He's waiting to bring more players into play. So that pass is perfect for Sam Smith to go and run onto. He likes those balls in behind and the control on it. The control is really because it bobbles a bit, and he has to. And there's a question mark over Ainsley Pears and goal whether he should be beating his near post like that. But it's a snapshot. I think he's caught the keeper by surprise there. I think he's going. It's like now or never. But I think he's maybe thinking he's going to be trying to chance his arm with the defender and come towards goal a little bit more. But Matty James, brave. He took a wallop in the wall to the ribs, I think. And Smith took one to the crown jewels, which looked particularly painful.
There was a good shot. Was it half time or full time? No, it would have been full time.
Checking the money.
Yeah, checking they were still there.
I mean, that's an instant substitution. If you check and go, hang on, I thought we had two balls. I'm sorry, I'm putting my hand up. And I'm coming off straight away.
Yes, like Blackburn were very bad, and they're a completely different proposition at home to what they are away. But like you said, you can only beat what's in front of you. And we've now won 3 on the bounce, right? 3 on the bounce, first time this season. First time since the last 3 of last campaign when we got promoted. I'm not making any sort of comparison there. What I'm saying is we are now starting to look like a team that has firmly gelled, and I include the wider components of the squad there, not just the supposed settled 11 to 15 players. He's span it and gone, right, this is the game where I need to spin it to keep legs fresh because we've got another game on Sunday. By the way, keep forgetting it's Sunday against Derby, another big away game. Our last one until the middle or towards the end of January. QPR away, got a lot of home games then in the Cup and the league. I think we've done what we did after that Cardiff defeat, where you feel like we've turned another corner. Like the Cardiff thing was a big wake-up call. Then we go on that unbeaten run. The Swansea defeat was a big wake-up call. And every player and every part of that management team has had a good look at each other and go, right, this is why this went wrong. However, the classic case of don't let the highs get too high, don't get the lows get too low. And I think that we are in a far, far, far better position than any of us would have ever envisaged going into 2026. I don't know.
No, I agree. Totally. Liam, I've got a question for you here. Is this the Parky prep? And what I mean by that is teams that Phil Parkinson manages tend to hold their own in the first part of the season. And then when they hit Christmas, they become incredibly hard to beat. They become incredibly hard to score against. And he seems to sort out the attacking elements as well. We're much better at the turn of the year. Do you think this is happening again now? And do you think with a few maybe additions, we've got a real chance of the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I think as football fans, we all work on emotion, right? And I think sometimes we forget how Wrexham's previous seasons have gone. You lose a couple of games, and let's be honest, it has only been a couple of games, especially since that rough spell at the start of the season, and you lose and you get disheartened, whether it was the Cardiff game, the Swansea game, and I think we've all been guilty of an element of overreaction. But it feels, I'm not saying it feels similar in that we're going to smash the league and get automatic promotion, but it feels similar in that we are starting to come good at exactly the right time. And it's those careful things like, I posted some daft meme when I saw the team sheet today, but when you think about it, Phil Parkinson knew he could afford to rest some players. I mean, I'll be honest, when I saw that the likes of Broadhead, Windass, and Moore were out of the team, I was a bit concerned. But
Yeah.
Phil Parkinson is not a man who loses his head, and I think he's seen. I thought Smith grew into that game against Preston really well. I think he saw promising signs there, knew that he offers something slightly different to Kiefer Moore, as Tim said, and you do start to think that. I mean, this look, things change very quickly in this league. So you can go on a run of 3 games where you win, then all of a sudden, you lose two, and it's back to square one. But there's no reason why we can't, start to think about a playoff push. Not whatsoever. I think the way that it's building up, and if we can just make, it's not massive changes in the January transfer window, but just those couple of quality additions to push us on, then there's no reason why we can't be thinking it's possible.
All right. Tim, here's a question for you. If we do manage to not lose at Derby, get closer to that top six, do you think their transfer policy changes a little bit due to the 3 or 4 wins we've had in a row? Do they go bigger and go more expensive for that real X factor player to get us over the line and give us a real good chance of going up? Or where in a couple of weeks ago they might have just been, squad players really, just to keep us honest. But now there's, remember, no one expected us to be so high in League One, and so we went big and signed Sam Smith for 3 million. Do you think there's another sort of signing of that ilk, albeit on a bigger level, due to where we are and where we could be in the Championship?
I don't think anything would have changed the optics, regardless of these wins. I think any kind of transfer policy and strategy would have been set in stone way before this month came around. Because the points return has been very, very good and consistent, ticking over since the start of the season. By that first month that we were trying to flesh it out, since then we've just built and built and built. I mean, they must have looked at it month by month and go, right, what is the point expectation realistically from this run of games? And I genuinely don't see how the kind of the powers that be that are looking at the transfer strategy and policy have gone. You know what, let's just wait to see how we get on after this run of games. I genuinely think it's already there. And the short answer to your question is they will spend. They will spend. Targets will no doubt have been identified. And what it makes no sense, because whichever way you look at it, right, there is absolutely no guarantees whatsoever Wrexham will be in this position next year. If let's say that we stay in the Championship this season, okay, and it tails off a little bit for the rest of the season, and we finish 15th or whatever, there's absolutely no guarantees. I mean, it's easy to suggest that would happen because of the momentum that's being built and because of what the plan is long term wise. But because of where we are and because we've surprised a lot of people, including ourselves, I think they're just going to go, here you go, just do it,
Yeah,
just do it.
I think I
If
mentioned
not,
that.
if
Yeah,
if not now, why not?
yeah,
It
yeah.
makes no sense. So
No, it
you've got
doesn't.
to go for it.
Yeah, if the chance is there, I
Yeah.
think the plan is to get us into the Premier League. That has always been the plan, and through the investment we've got coming in, I sort of feel that we will get there. But if we can do it early, like we did going through League One, they'll go for it. Of course they will, and we'll do the infrastructure behind the scenes as we go. It's best to do that in the Premier League than in the Championship, isn't it? Are we getting a bit ahead of ourselves, Liam?
It feel like this season's been so topsy-turvy that I'm just trying to like temper my expectations. But like you hear some of the rumors around the transfer window. I mean, yours finally got revealed after you newslettered it. Who was it again?
It's a lad called Sola from Atletico Madrid. Now, who knows? But he seems the right type, doesn't he? And we do have links with Atletico Madrid at the moment, so through Apollo
Yeah.
Investment. But he's a 30-year-old Norwegian international, 6'5", very much in the Kiefer Moore mode. Had a very good first season at Atletico, but dropped off a little bit now. Look, Fenerbahce are in for him apparently, 30 million, also 30 million euros. Inter Milan are in for him. So, it's very unlikely, but wow, the fact that
Well,
we're even mentioned battling Inter Milan for a player is absolutely nuts, isn't it?
Well, the reason why I bring it up is because, like, I don't necessarily. So, another one that I've heard, just literally people in the pub chattering type of thing is, people have mentioned Harry Wilson, who, let's be honest, is on absolute fire at the moment in the Premier League for Fulham. Now, I don't necessarily think that we are going to be signing those two players, one or the other this season. But I think that given what we've done in the past, I think people need to understand that at some point we are going to make signings of that ilk because what we've always done is made signings from, we want to get to the Premier League. So what do? You sign Premier League players to get there. And I do think there will come a point, whether it's in January, whether it's this summer, we will make a signing. A bit like, remember when we signed Paul Mullen in the National League, where you just suddenly go,
It's a
wow,
notice signing, yeah.
yeah,
Signing that blows people's socks off.
yeah. I,
Yeah.
I do feel like one of those is coming. Like, I don't know if it's in January or the summer, and I think that's when you start to think that the Premier League is a possibility. Like I said, I'm trying to keep myself on the ground because I'm getting giddy just off being eighth in the Championship as we
Right.
stand after
Now,
this match.
lads. We've had three wins in the Championship in a row. If we can't get excited now, when can we get excited?
Well, I want to bring it back to the game because I think we've only really touched on it. But just a quick one on Harry Wilson. Um, he's literally one of the best players in the Premier League right now. There's absolutely no chance he's coming to Wrexham anytime soon. He is a Wrexham fan. He goes to Wrexham games. His uncle, shout out to Skinny up in Corwin there, has always said that he wants to sign for us. But at the moment, I think Harry Wilson, if he wasn't happy at Fulham and if Fulham wanted to cash in on him, he could probably go to easily a
Yeah.
top six, top eight
Goes
club
upwards, doesn't
without.
he?
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course he does
yeah,
because he's literally peaking. He is
yeah.
peaking. He's absolutely on top form. Yeah, just chipping in with all manner of goals. But anyway, Harry Wilson is definitely a player for another day at Wrexham. Bringing it back
Would
into
he
play.
get in the team ahead of Lewis O'Brien?
Well, we'll come to Lewis O'Brien in a minute. Let's talk about Ollie Rathbone, right?
Yeah,
5 games now, 3 goals, I think.
yeah,
His
Yeah.
goal today was of out of top
brilliant,
draw,
brilliant goal.
gets his leg over it, has to. Otherwise, I think he said, yeah, I think he said in his post-match interview, he goes like, the idea was always to connect with it, and it's one of those it either goes in the back of the net, or it goes over the stand, and it's such a great goal. He does it in front of his dad, Mick, who's a Blackburn
Yeah.
legend, who was honoured today on the pitch, like an honour cap or whatever it is, because he's did loads and loads of years at Blackburn, proper
Lovely bloke as
legend
well,
there.
by the way.
Yeah, yeah. And so for Ollie to do that today, probably special time for all the family there. But how good was he? I'm not just talking about his attacking output, but his defensive work as well.
Yeah.
He was all. I think Mark Griffiths, bless him, who got Blackburn Rovers wrong about 50 times a day, and that spread to Andy Morale. I kept on calling him Preston in light of Blackburn's anniversary kit, which is very Preston-y. Um, he said it was a very, very weird analogy he used. But he said, "Oh, if you're in like New York, they say you're never 2 feet away from a rat." And then he said, "But on the pitch today, you're never 2 foot away from Ollie Rathbone." It's such a fucking random analogy.
It's
I think,
right
I
though.
think what the point you're trying to make is that he was everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the most complete performances, like from a Wrexham midfield perspective, I can remember in a long time. Just because, like you say, it had a bit of everything. You've got the volleyed goal, just real quality. The way he hooks his leg round it from there. Then you've got, when we were breaking away as well. Breaking away at pace, picking out the right balls. Sam Smith, and then defensively as well. There were occasions where I thought like, oh, Blackburn have got a bit of space here, near to our goal, and all of a sudden. Ollie Rathbone just pops up out of nowhere and nicks the ball. So it was man of the match and then some. I don't think there was even really a contest for that today whatsoever. Which, given that we don't know how seriously he was talking about quitting it, I think it might just have been a bit of
Nah,
a woe is
yeah.
me type of thing. But thank God he didn't because he's been absolutely superb for us these last few games.
Lewis O'Brien, Andy. I thought he played really, really well. I know
No,
he's
he
been
did.
out
He
as well.
did. He was great. He was
Really,
great. Yeah. But it's like O'Brien and Rathbone were egging each other on about who could like win the ball and close down quicker, and that's good to see. That's great to see. But fuck me, he missed another fucking one-on-one. I mean, it's a bad.
Uh, uh,
It's not a great touch to take it to the side, but it was like slow motion. I thought, has someone blown the whistle here? Because
yeah,
he didn't ever look sure that he was just going to smash it in. You know, when a 17-year-old Michael Owen's in that position, you just know the ball's going in the back of the
Yeah.
net. But with Lewis O'Brien, I was there. Is he offside? Has someone blown the whistle? Because it all seemed to be just
yeah.
so slow.
I
And
think if you give him time on the ball and you give him time to think, he's like
yeah,
in his head then, because of what's happened before, and he's like, just hit the target, just hit the
yeah.
target.
He did, but he
He
just too
did.
close
It's
to the
too close to
keeper.
the keeper. Yeah.
And the keeper's actually pulled up a decent save with his trailing hand, but come on. I mean, Lewis, that hasn't cost us today. I mean, if we had scored that, we had a chance to go seventh because on goal difference. So
Oh, God, the rest of the teams are currently playing as we're recording this. You
yeah, I
can't
know.
blame Lewis O'Brien for
I
one
know.
Do,
We're
place.
not
do, do we
getting up to
think
seventh.
do we think he'll get into a position though, like where all of a sudden he starts putting those away, or is it just a case of he's really good at getting in the situations, but maybe just wait for someone to come up? I know it sounds harsh, but you know what I mean? Like you just wonder, is that something you can coach into him?
I don't know. We asked Morel this a couple of weeks ago, and he said he would drill him in there are things he can do to help someone finish in those situations. But for me, it's just you've either got that killer instinct or you haven't. And Lewis O'Brien's got many qualities.
Yeah,
But if he did have that killer instinct, he'd probably be a Premier League player now.
yeah,
If that all action midfielder weighed in with 10 to 15 goals a season, he wouldn't be at Wrexham. He'd
true.
be playing for Forest, and he'd be in everyone's fantasy league team. So that's why we have Lewis O'Brien, and it's annoying, but it hasn't cost us. Hasn't cost us today. It's cost us a few times this season, like Birmingham. Maybe we could have got a win there.
Southampton.
Yeah, but it hasn't cost us today. So don't beat yourself up, Lewis. We won't either. And just go the fucking next one, will you?
There you go. Andy's favourite player climbed off the bench today.
He
The lesser
exists.
spotted Liberato
Good little
Cacace.
ball. Remember we got the ball and he played a nice little ball inside. Look, I think the good thing about Cacace is I don't think we've rushed him back. He's been on the bench for a while and we haven't brought him on. He's had 10 minutes today. I think we're easing him back in, and I think that's the right way to do it. I think eventually he will come in and be our first choice left wing back above Thomason, who might move back into midfield. But at the moment, we're easing him back in. I would expect him to have a little bit more against Derby, and then maybe look to start Forest or the game after.
Another substitution, Harry Ashfield, officially a championship footballer.
Good on him.
Who's not even remotely in the Welsh under-21 setup. Shame on you, Wales under-21 coaches.
Some Swindon
Shame
reserves
on
better
you.
than Harry?
If it means he bypasses the under-21s in good time and he ends up going straight to the seniors, then so be it. Because we love these stories, don't we? Of like players that come through the ranks, and you never quite know if it's going to pan out. Is it going to be like um, a Bickerstaff situation where you feel like he's good enough, but he goes out on loan and hasn't really set the world on fire? Or is it we really, really think highly of this guy so much that we don't want him to go out on loan just this moment in time? Yes, he's nursed an injury, but to include him, have him on the bench,
And bring him on.
yeah, I mean, I think it says so much about Harry Ashfield's capabilities, his attitude, and everything that you would want in a player of that age, where you just don't get carried away. But I know Blackburn brought a few youngsters off the bench today because they're really struggling for sort of first team personnel. But great to see, because again, it shows that despite all the millions that we can spend on players now, there is still a pathway.
No, and that's I was
It's
going to say.
it's a narrow pathway, but it's one
Yeah.
that will
No, I was going
reopen.
to say. I think that's key, because if you're now in a position where you can cream off the best talent in North Wales, because Wrexham are a going concern as both a club and as a youth of a youth system, and you can say, well, if your lad joins us, then look at Max Cleworth, he's an ever present, and look at Harry Ashfield, who comes off the bench. You can say to people, join Wrexham, they will have a chance. In this system, they will have a chance. And I think that is a brilliant thing to be able to say to parents. and I think it will it will really have our youth system standing in good stead for the next 5 to 10 years if we can do that.
Yeah, I've seen people post like a bit of scorn on Parky's back in for Ashfield because he has mentioned a few times throughout the season that he does rate him. But I do think he genuinely does. But it's just the fact that, we're in the championship. He's not going to be starting week in, week out, but he'll do what Phil Parkinson does and gradually try and, integrate him. And let's hope that he can come through because that can only be good for us, right? Like you say, we've got to be able to show that there is a pathway for players like that, and that's the starting point. It might have taken some time to get there, but you can't just throw them in at the deep end in the championship.
No,
And it says to me that there are no immediate plans to loan him out, because why would you play him today otherwise and risk, run the risk of injury?
yeah,
If you're planning on loaning him out, you wouldn't play him today, would you? It's as simple as that.
no.
So,
All
um,
positives, mate. All positives. I mean, it's great that we can have such a sort of lively chat about 3 wins in a row in the championship. None of us 3 or 4 years ago ever thought this was going to be possible. And I know we're saying silly things like, when can we get to the Premier League? But let us dream for a bit. I mean, if we can't dream now, when can we? It's coming together. The squad's coming together. We think there's going to be some additions as well. If it's such a slight hamstring injury, we might have Kiefer Moore back for Sunday, and that just Smith and Moore as options. However he wants to go, it's just different things off the bench. It's a squad game, and Parky is utilising it to the best at the moment, as he does at the turn of the year. That's what Parky does.
just to kind of like finish off, and taking it right back to the start, really, full circle. Um, when that team announcement came out, and obviously you voiced your thoughts on it, and that was kind of one of many where people were like, was Parky drunk? Is he still in the loony juice from last night?
Yeah.
And a lot of kind of like, I wouldn't say concern, but bemusement
Yeah.
as to the squad he put out. Um, is that a little bit disrespectful to the players that have come in, or do you think is it more of a case of people were just taken aback by how many changes were made in light
Yeah.
of 2 wins? Was it more a case of that, do you think?
I think so, and I think people were trying to work out how the team was going to play.
Right.
If we were just going to pack midfield and bore Blackburn to death, or if we were going to go for it. And it turns out we were going to go for it. And I think we even surprised Blackburn in how high up the pitch those three were pressing, winning the ball off them. But Parky's got it spot on. He knows Blackburn are weak defensively, and if you rush them, you've got a chance. And he's put his most energetic players on doing just that, and he's absolutely aced it. So, what do we know? Phil Parkinson has absolutely got this spot on, and Andy Gilpin has got it
Well,
absolutely wrong. So
but
I'll
right, as football fans though, we are reactive, we're emotive, aren't we? You go on social media, you get that, see that starting line graphic, and I've learned not to go, oh well, we're effing losing this, but I will. Like I think I posted a GIF of Joe Biden looking bemused. That's how I felt when I looked at it. But with that sort of thing in the back of my mind of like, well, don't panic too much though, because this is what Parky does.
I held back, and I was just curious because I saw a lot of the reactions like, okay, whatever.
what
Even
was
though,
your initial reaction? And you
well,
held back. What's your initial reaction to that
my
team?
my initial reaction, genuine, it was okay. It he's clearly, you would assume Max is not injured because
He's
Yeah.
on the
he's
bench.
played every minute. So you think,
Yeah.
okay, that's a rest there. Do I have any immediate concerns about Scar coming in? No, I don't, because when Scar's come in this year, he's been brilliant, been really, really good. So Dobson comes back into the fold. Do we have any concerns about that? No, because he's been one of the players of the season for us so far this season. So I've got no immediate concerns there. I think it's that whole thing of, where I suppose it's we've been so reliant on Keith for 4 goals this year
Yeah.
that it's easy to go, are we going to get goals from this team? And I still think that Sam Smith sometimes gets a rough deal. Like, it's not as if he hasn't scored goals since he's joined us. He has. And then for him to come back in and take his chance the way he has, again, is testament to that whole culture that's been fostered at the club where if you're not involved, you are involved per se. You might not be getting involved in the way that you would like to, but you're still very much a part of this squad. I saw players in that tunnel today. Obviously, Andy Cannon was there. There was another young lad there, kind of youth team player, I'm guessing. I don't know who
Yeah,
he
I
was,
saw. Yeah,
but he had the full training gear on. I thought, is whoever that is, excuse my ignorance on that, how nice is it for him to be involved in the first team squad? You
yeah.
know, to be involved in all that, to have gone up there the night before and been involved and had that sort of Happy New Year kind of vibe, and then go, right, here we go, let's get to bed. We've got a big game tomorrow. Crack on. I think all of it is just it's just there's something special about it, and I genuinely didn't have any massively overriding concerns because A, I knew how bad Blackburn were at home, and B, he's bringing in players who are absolutely determined to prove to Parky that they are more than good enough to be more than peripheral figures in and around that squad. So I think he's got the balance perfectly in getting everybody absolutely champing at the bit to play their part. And he's
Smith
got his
Smith looked
boys.
happy out there today as well. There was
Yeah.
1 minute in the second half where their pitch, which is absolutely horrible, by the way, he went sliding along it like several meters, and he just came up, nearly went into the advertising hoods,
Did
but he
you?
just stood up laughing it, like smiling and laughing his face off. It was just
When he scored, and he was like, "Well, all the Wrexham fans are all the way down there. I'll be knackered by the
And
time
he
I
just
can't."
he just went to the
Yeah,
Blackburn
I
fans.
just went to the Blackburn fans. There's a row of kids down the front, and then they were all giving him some shit. But the best one, there was a lad about 3 rows back, and it was the classic where he just went thumbs down. It's
like
like
Gladiator.
I haven't seen that for ages. Yeah, like boo, you're shit, you. He couldn't even be arsed saying it. He just did that. I was like, that's a class old school hand gesture.
All right, tell
Let's
you what.
quickly turn to Derby, shall we?
Yeah, I was going to say, should we do predictions, or do you want to? Should we sort of just talk around the game a little bit?
Let's have a little look. It's been Liam Wilson. Can you dig it up? A long time ago, we went to Pride Park at FA Cup. I kind of want to say it was
Dennis
2000
Smith's last game.
2007. What?
Dennis Smith's last game. He got sacked
Dennis
after it.
Smith, David Jones was a young, absolutely skin-headed midfield for Derby at the
Yeah,
time. Arturo
Was this
Lupoli got a
when
hat trick.
Evil was in the team?
yeah.
Yeah,
He's good.
we had a clear penalty denied, which would have if we'd scored that would have brought it back to 3-2. I want to say 'cause I think we lost that game 3-1. So it's been a long time since we've been to Pride Park or wherever they call it now. Lots changed since then. They are currently Derby at the time of recording this. They're currently goalless with Middlesbrough at home to Middlesbrough. Recent
Yeah.
games that
So I'm just looking at the match stats in this Derby Middlesbrough. They are 0-0-1 XG. Now I don't quite know what an XG is, but that sounds
mm,
pretty shit. So
they're,
uh,
they're a very strange team looking at their results. I mean, they lost at Leicester. They drew at Birmingham. They drew with Portsmouth. They won at Sheffield Wednesday, which you can kind of like bookend for what it is. Drew at home to Millwall. Lost at home to Leicester. Lost at Middlesbrough. Won at Swansea, which we failed to do. They're very erratic, shall we say? They had a really decent end of October into the start of November. Won 4 in a row. But beyond that, they're kind of I mean, where are they? The 14th in the table, 33 points as it
Hmm.
stands. Won eight, lost eight, drawn nine. So they're not a million miles away from our own stats in a funny way. But
I think that they're very much a team like us. I think they're a very physical, hard-working side who pick
yeah,
up points through attrition. I think
yeah.
we've managed to turn that around a little bit at the moment, but I can envisage a tough game. I'll be honest. After three, it's all about points accumulation. I'd be happy with a draw,
Same.
especially away from home. So I'd go one each.
Okay.
What about
I
you,
would
Tim?
t I'd take that all day long as well. I just, like you say, if you'd asked me before this run of matches, would we have got 9 points out of these games? I would have said no. So I think if you get 10 out of 12 on offer, it's
In
a
the
decent,
championship? That's amazing. That
that's a
puts
great
you. Yeah,
return.
yeah, it does. That puts you right on the cusp of a playoff tilt. That
Yeah. I
Tim,
mean,
do you want more? You greedy
I,
bastard.
I do. I would love to have 4 in a row, and the confidence is there for them to do that. But I just think I think a draw is likely. We can't get to 40 points already in the first week of January. That would be very greedy. So, what is the magical mark this year to stay up? Is it always that 40 point mark?
I think
Can't be
Different in the
I think
championship.
it's a bit
yeah.
higher. I think
Uh,
it's I mean, there has been teams who've got mid-50s and ended up going down. I think I'm
Wow.
right in saying in the Championship, I think the norm is probably around Flinney's magic 50 mark to stay up. Maybe let's just say it is because Flinney knows best. Um, but yeah, hopefully though we're looking upwards as opposed to downwards if we can carry on this trajectory.
6 defeats in 5 months. Not bad, is it? In this championship, like it's not bad at all.
They've all felt like the end of the world, but they weren't.
Oh yeah, no, but we've had moments, and we're just as guilty of maybe some knee-jerk reaction as anybody else is. But you take
Yeah.
the game for what it is, and at the moment, Wrexham are absolutely cooking. They're on fire. They're on
Yes.
fire. 3 wins at this level is not to be sniffed at, especially for a newly promoted team. So,
Yeah.
on that note, um, we're happy with that. I think
Yeah.
Derby next. We all think it's probably going to be a draw. Be nice to get a win. And yeah, onwards to the next game. But yeah, let us know what your thoughts are with today's game. Are you happy with the changes? Are you happy with Parky? What is your New Year's
What have
resolution?
we got wrong, Mike Hughes? What have we got wrong?
Yeah, this pod is now veering into 35 minutes heresy. That's what we've
That is
got
not
wrong.
Oh, we need to stop
commutable.
this. We need to stop
It's
this
not.
now. All right.
Depends where you're commuting, doesn't it? But yeah. Right, yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the start to your new year. It's pissing down outside here, which is very annoying. But yeah, hopefully the weather will change. Happy days. Up the currently top 10 Reds.
Yeah.
Take
And
it
please
easy.
subscribe to the newsletter. Bye.
Happy
Good
New Year.